Oh, hey, everybody. I just got lost in that awesome intro music once again. So, hey, everybody. Welcome to another exciting weekly Friday. Okay. The Friday AMA that we do weekly on Fridays. I'm Dan, coming to you live from Japan, here to take Ergo into the top 10. Hopefully, I'll know when. No, that doesn't sound good. Anyway, we'll get there. We'll get there. Working hard on it. With me, I have Joe. Speaking of working hard, we have Joe today hosting this AMA with me. Say hi to everybody, Joe.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, everyone. Excited to take your questions.
Yeah, and we definitely had a really productive week. Well, first of all, just we started on time ish. So that's a big achievement, I think, because it's, we're fashionably late. Fashionable. Yeah. So today we I think, well, we kind of started on time ish, close enough. Anyway. So that's one achievement. So another one, but not in order of importance, of course, is we had a very exciting education meeting this week with a very prominent university, which we will let you know more about next month when we have a more more formal, I guess, agreement in place with. But this is actually a very well-known accredited university, and so we're talking about. As I spoke before, about doing an education program, several different products. One would be something more beginner level, not really beginner, not just, what's blockchain, what's distributed ledger technology, and so on and so forth, but something where somebody who doesn't know how to program in smart contracts, somebody who might not even have much programming experience can actually come in, and by the end of the course, will be able to program Ergo smart contracts and EUTXO model smart contracts. So this is, I think we think that this is a really important education course that we can put out to basically bring people into the ecosystem and just in general give people more information and more know-how about how to use smart contracts. So we're looking forward to putting this together. We have Alex on board. We have a couple other educators on board that that we will, again, I know I tease Mr. Agger. Okay, I know I tease. I see you saying that in there, but look, I don't do it to build up hype. I do it because I want to have things signed. I want to have things solidified before we start actually, disclosing names, disclosing specific plans, and so on and so forth. But I am really eager to let you guys know about this because this is really exciting stuff for us. We're just, really excited about this. So more information to come next month. So the other part of the education program that we're trying to do is more along the lines of like, say, Plutus Pioneers, right? But something for Ergo, where people will be able to learn Ergo script, program with Ergo, and again, a more advanced course for people who already are in the sphere and they want to know more specifically about Ergo. And then somebody who doesn't really know, I mean, they want to know about smart contract programming, they want to know about Ergo, but they need to have an entry point, right? So these two, a nice, we think this would be a nice variety of courses. And of course, we're getting Alex involved in this. So it's going to be great. So another exciting development is, yes, we are integrating with several exchanges right now. In fact, Joe, can we speak about this is a smaller one that we're working with, but nonetheless, it's a really good one. And so which one is that, Joe?
No, I'm not allowed to say yet. They need to finish their wallet integration. As soon as
I
that's
see.
done, as soon as the wallet integration and testing is done, then we actually get a date of when it'll go live. Currently, we have a couple that are in that process of integration and testing. It's just one of
Okay.
those things that you don't have a date locked down until, basically there's been proper engineering and safety checks. That way they don't throw a wallet, let's launch and then it breaks.
Okay. All right. So then let's not kind of
Give me the demo.
anger the fire. Let's let them do their thing. So again, this is in process right now. We're integrating with several really nice exchanges, something that will bring nice volume, nice traction, and more exposure to Ergo. So again, once we have a date from these exchanges, a launch date, and we will go public with who they are, and actually from the exchange side as well. There'll be information. There's going to be a lot of exciting I guess opportunities and programs attached to it. So again, stay tuned, and as information develops, we will bring it to you. And so the next on my list of things that we have done is commercial integration. So we have been working and talking to several partners and aggregators to bring them into the ecosystem to get projects, large projects to start developing in the ecosystem. So we're talking about three right now, three different aggregators and commercial enterprises right now. I personally am, and so hopefully pretty soon you're going to see a lot more traction and usage of the Ergo ecosystem by these large projects. The next item up for bid is, I am getting ready to travel for the first time in 2 years. I have been in my COVID, prison island called Japan. Haven't been traveling. Actually, this is in comparison to me traveling pretty much every single month up until then, and up until what was it? I guess what 2019, yeah, late 2019 is the last time I traveled, and it's just been really weird because I'm used to traveling so much. But yeah, I'm going to Dubai. As I said, I'm going to be in two conferences. One is going to be Sigma Asia in Dubai. So I'm going to be speaking there, and I'm going to be speaking there about the possible commercial applications of the metaverse. So I'm going to be on a panel, as well as in several private meetings that will hopefully bring us some good opportunities. And another one is going to be ETH Dubai. I'm also going to be attending, and there might be some potentially fun things coming out of there, and might have even some fun guests on with me, because I will be in Dubai for almost 2 weeks, and I will be doing AMAs from there. Also do maybe just off the cuff podcast from there, just to give you guys just a deal on what's on the ground. Maybe if I'll run into some cool people, I will ask them to say hi to the Ergo community, and to maybe even do like an on the spot AMA. We'll see what develops. And I saw that somebody was asking if it's possible to get a recording of the panel that I'm going to be on. I will do my best. I think it's possible. And like I said, I will try to bring you as much content as possible out of there, because it seems like it's going to be a really lively conference and a lot of good opportunity for our ecosystem to kind of enter the crowd and get more people involved. So that's it from my end. How are things on your end, Joe?
Yeah, things are going well. a couple of announcements I want to make. The first is that DECO, the decentralized college that the community has put together, is accepting new students. So if you're interested in learning about ErgoScript or extended UTXO, hop onto their Discord. We did have a update this week from Alex in terms of EIP 27. That's something he's been playing with in testnet, and it looks like we're going to have additional documentation coming out soon. I know we did have a community discussion on Telegram yesterday in terms of the potential update times, and I'm sure that that will come out in like a more formal manner, hopefully soon. Next week, we're going to have a community chat about the state of DeFi on top of Ergo. I know he wanted to do that. I believe it's Thursday, 7 a.m. my time or 6 a.m. my time. I need to double check. The other thing that is kind of going to be a change that people will see soon is the Ergo platform has actually created a group of community members called the Sigmanauts, which are kind of a variety of developers, users, miners, and we've actually given them custody to our main Twitter account, and we're going to be shifting our marketing resources to Ergo Foundation at Twitter, and so we're going to see more community content coming out of that platform account. Our hope is that we give the community more of force multiplying opportunity to talk about what they're building, what they're doing, and slowly let them start to take charge in terms of, you know, what is Ergo and what can we do with it. And we may even see a little shift in terms of, you know, my weekly developer update to where I start covering, you know, the core development, the toolkit, and I give kind of the application developers an ability to highlight what they're doing more directly. Now, part of that is because that has really been growing quite rapidly. And so, you know, the developer updates are getting longer and longer and longer. And at some point, you know, I'm going to be making an hour video a week. So I think it's better to kind of distribute the resources. I'm excited to see the community take over and, you know, talk about what they're building, why they're building it, and how. So that's it for me for this week. Let's get to the community.
Let's do it. Let's do it. We got some good questions here. Well, actually, first is a comment from Mr. Agger Visuals, and he says, I'll be teaching the layman's course for EU time zone. Feel free to reach out. So just let us know, is the first assignment going to be properly pronouncing your name? If that's the case, you might have to kind of up the difficulty level of the course. So just let us know, okay? All right. Now, this is actually a really interesting question. I was actually just, well, you know, things that I think about. I was thinking about quantum computing today. And actually, it just popped into my head in Japanese. In Japanese, it's called Ryoshi Computer. Ryoshi. Okay, so it's quantum computer. Anyway, so have Ergo dev team ever discussed quantum computing and planning resistance against it? This is a question for Joe because honestly, I don't know. Have the Ergo team looked into this, Joe?
Sure, it's been in discussion. Right now, it's one of those things where, to some degree, if you're planning for quantum computing and resistance to it, you're fighting ghosts because quantum adversaries aren't here yet. And the difficulty with ghost fighting is you kind of are going to struggle to know exactly what you're up against. Now, luckily, I would say there are some theoretical, and that's important to highlight that with quotes, theoretical ways that you can resist a quantum adversary. But I do think that as that rolls out, and that could be a decade, I mean, it's hard to predict the evolution of technology. You know, it's one of those things like fission. You know, it's a good theory, but practical application is something that, you know, we've been waiting for a long time. I do think that eventually that'll roll out, and we may see quantum cryptography. So, you're going to see developments on both sides, both in terms of the quantum adversary and quantum defense. It's something that definitely in our industry is very important to track and follow, but it's also important to recognize that, when you're fighting ghosts, you may not be able to hit anything. You know what I mean? So to some degree, we kind of have to wait, watch it develop.
Yeah, actually, from the Cardano side, I remember that. I mean, and we have been discussing this on the research level for quite some time now. In fact, I remember having these discussions back in like 2017, I think, and about quantum computing and quantum resistance. 2018, it was supposed to be like the year we go quantum. Everybody's going to go quantum. We watch out for the quantum computers because, the quantum computers can brute force. It's the end of the world. 2022, still thinking about it, not mainstream yet. So
it's
yeah, like you don't
something
say.
that is a huge, potential risk and something that we need to track and watch, academic research, documentation. But until that, ghost pops into the physical, there's really not much you can do other than plan and guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's obviously, it is definitely something that needs to be monitored, but I personally don't see it, happening tomorrow on a mass scale. However, we do need to make sure that we are on top of it. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Here's a nice question. So, a lot of big DeFi projects on Cardano are waiting for layer 1 updates and layer 2 solutions coming this summer. How ready is Ergo for similar types of projects? Joe.
You want me to answer that? Sure. Well, the first advantage I would say we have, at least at the moment, is that Ergo script is probably a little bit easier to compile than Plutus or Plutarch or whatever scripting that's currently in development. And it's important to recognize extended UTXO is young, right? So, a lot of the times we get like a side-by-side comparison with something like Ethereum. And, at least on the Ergo side, we're still in kind of the early phase of rolling out our toolkit and rolling out our documentation. The same is true in terms of Cardano. So if you look at, when did Goguen roll out? Wasn't it last fall or something?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so, you're 3-4 months in. And so what happens is you need to first start with creating a solid foundation and a lot of documentation. Now, once that happens and you have those core frameworks, then what occurs is people use the composability of UTXO and they start to build. I would say that's advancing pretty well, actually, on both Ergo and Cardano. But it's also important to recognize the age. If you were to take a 2-year-old or in the case of Cardano, 3-month-old, and you were to put them in a foot race with a 7-year-old, who's going to win, right? They've had more time to develop their tooling, their frameworks. There's more documentation, and it's more adopted. But I don't see that as a negative. I just look at the reality in terms of age of the technology, and then I try to say, okay, well, what are the inherent benefits, in terms of between extended UTXO and kind of the EVM account model? I think that there are huge benefits that we'll grow into. Now, DeFi is something that, as a whole, it needs more development across the entire space, in my opinion. There's a lot of things that have pretty crazy inflation rates that are not very sustainable. You get some of the projects where it's like 1,000% APY, 8,000% APY, 100,000 APY, and it's just not so sustainable or practical, in my opinion. I do understand that capturing inflation is popular, And, there are certain game theories that have been developed to try to prevent that inflation from leaking to market and incentivize people to be in a position to capture it. But in terms of like the off-chain practicality and real-world use case, not seeing a lot of that, in my opinion. It's more token games. I do think that DeFi as a whole has a huge potential, but the reality is as an industry, I don't think we're there yet. And I don't say that just for Ergo or Cardano. I say that for cryptocurrencies in general. Now, we do have a pretty good path for compiling Ergo script on layer 1. We do actually have documentation out that exists in terms of layer 2 solutions that Ergo supports. And so I think it's just one of those things that'll come with time. There's already research and development being explored by a couple of different applications and projects on Ergo, but it's one of those things you have to do solid R&D, you have to do solid surveying and putting frameworks together before it's implemented. But we may see it this summer. Who knows?
Yeah, and also, I mean, it's as Joe just mentioned, we're a few months into Goguen. We're also, as again Joe mentioned, the UTXO is really young. So on the Ergo side, and this is something that Joe and I are actually really trying to kind of get into our ecosystem, is on the Ergo side, we really haven't had that something as much that has as much throughput as say or as many transactions as like say even like Sunday Swap put through, right? Maybe it'll be Ergo Dex eventually. I think it could be, but actually this is something that came up on a different AMA. What could Ergo handle the throughput that Cardano needs to handle to for all these different dexes going online? And really the answer to that is we'll have to see. I mean, yeah, it's not. I'm sure it's not going to break Ergo, but we're going to have to wait and see what kind of effect it has, what kind of scale, what does real-time scaling looks like for Ergo. And so that's really important to remember, is that it's really early. A lot of these are still questions that haven't been tested out yet. And just one thing as for my business side, I always want to make sure that expectations are properly managed, right? So you don't expect something. I mean, Ergo is amazing, but if we get, say, as big as Cardano, what's going to happen? If we get as many dApps running as Ethereum, what's going to happen? We can guess, but in reality, the reality might be different than our guess. Just that's because that's the way things work. So, yeah, it's just a matter of time. So let's grab another question here. Let's see. What's a good one? Okay. Okay. So where's okay. So let's see. Okay, so there's a question for Joe, and again, this is something I'm not sure what this is referring to, but what's the status with the EF Bank account? Curious because of the iOS wallet launch on App Store.
Sure, that's still in motion. It was looking as though we were like right at the finish line, and then we had some additional geopolitical turmoil, and we got put into an extra period of review. Most of the documentation for that has come together. That just consisted of kind of extra checks on the bank side to try to mitigate any potential liability. Now, one nice thing is we are a corporation in Singapore, so Singapore directly is kind of separate than perhaps having a Russian citizen involved. But it looks like things are going well. Sometimes when you have that kind of geopolitical upheaval, it does create extra issues that we kind of have been working to balance. I don't see it as a long-term issue or problem, but it did slow things down a little bit. Now, hopefully, by the end of this next week, we pass that additional check, and then I can get my DUNS number for the Ergo Foundation in Singapore, and we can get the iOS wallet on the App Store. It's one of those things. Sometimes when you're dealing with organizations, the larger they get, the slower they are. The more bureaucratic checks and balances and hoops you get to jump through. Such is life.
Yeah, he can only move fast and break things until you move too fast and break too many things, and then you have to, organize so that you don't break more things. Yeah. So that's, I guess that's the reality of business. All right, let's see what's another good question here. Okay, well, all right. So this is a question for Joe, but I think we can both answer this. I'll let Joe answer this first because any thoughts, Joe, on how we can create sustainable APY? So why don't you go first, since it's directed to you, and then I'll kind of bring up.
You have two things that you can consider here. Okay. The first has to do with kind of the inflation of tokenomics. Now, every project in existence is going to have some inflation schedule or emission schedule, right? The amount of tokens that come to market at some pre-predictable rate usually. And, so to some degree, every project has a certain element of inflation. Now, how much is too much? How much is way too much? And how much is just insane is something that I guess we're seeing tested in real time in terms of sustainability. Now, if you look at it in terms of a more practical sense, it has to do with use and utility more than anything, where beyond the actual emission of a cryptocurrency, you also have the ability to borrow, and you have a certain interest rate or yield that's put on top of the cost of borrowing, which is often based on demand, right? So I think that if you look at it from an actual demand and use case side, which you do see with some stable coins on larger exchanges, that's actually viable, right? Meaning it's the result of economic activity versus just a programmed inflation rate. And I don't think that traders or people in the industry necessarily look at those two things as separate. They just see a percentage, right? And so it's a matter of saying, okay, well, what is the energy or economic activity behind that particular percentage? And ultimately, if it's based on use, I see it as more sustainable. Now, that's not to say that Ergo has a certain inflation rate. Now, it's kind of in the downtrend, but it's still expanding the token supply on the market. So I guess we're just kind of seeing this tested across, potentially thousands of projects at the same time. What is a sustainable APY? Now, again, my perspective is that if it's based on actual economic use, utility, and demand, it's growing in the right direction. If it's based just on emission programming and wild game theory, it might just go up and then the end. Well, let's see.
Yeah, well, basically, you just, you pretty much answered my answer. And my answer to that is it's pretty simple. As Joe said, demand and sustainability. What is the true demand for this token? Is it just because people want to buy it to get APY, or is there actually a real use case for this token or this coin? And so demand and utility follow sustainability. So if you have true utility and true demand that is not only based on people coming in and looking at it and say we have a million, gajillion, bajillion APY. I'm going to dump more money into it. There's actually utility to it. Then it's sustainable, and that will then dictate what the APY is. So it's all about sustainability. It's all about sustainability of the APY and the underlying utility of what people are putting money into, because there are some DeFi products out there that are completely insane and it's not sustainable. And it's kind of like you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's almost like a Ponzi scheme. In fact, sometimes it is a Ponzi scheme.
Well, Dan, I think we can look at it this way to some degree. Let's call it the Scarface Index, okay? If I were to go to Colombia and I were to buy cocaine wholesale and then come to the U.S. market and sell it, I would get about 44 times my money back, right?
Well, you know that really well.
Yeah. So if you can actually overcome the cocaine profit margin, yeah, that's insane. Why would anyone sell cocaine or move drugs or do any of these illicit activities that come with basically, life altering risks? If you can just buy a coin in your basement and, outperform the economic utility of cocaine trade, which, is highly profitable, but also highly dangerous, right? So if anything passes that threshold, in my opinion, I say, okay, well, that's completely insane. Either it's going to become adopted and solve all of the criminal and, let's say, dark market problems because it's outperforming the economic benefits of them, or it's not going to be sustainable. I think that's like a very common sense baseline is the Scarface Index. If you can beat the profitability of that without having any actual output or risk or utility, yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. Basically, if you can make more money than Sosa or Tony Montana, it's too good to be true.
That's solid.
That's yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, we're talking about DeFi. We're talking about cocaine trade. It's going well. Let's move on to the next question. Oh, yes. Mr. Agagagger actually took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, Joe knows a surprising lot about drug trafficking.
Yeah, it's something, it's a conversation that I've had with a couple of people in terms of DeFi rates. Like if you compare them to some of the most profitable business trades, whether it's, drug trafficking or, often they're illicit. That's why, people do them. If DeFi is outperforming those, either it's going to solve all the world's problems, and basically, why would you do any of those things if you could outperform the returns with no risk, or there's just, no long-term practical sustainability there. I think it's a good way to get people to really look at it from a grounded perspective in, the reality of economics outside of blockchain.
Right. Okay. Let's see. What's a good question here? We got some questions. Let's okay, so this is actually an interesting question. Again, so I think Joe would be good to answer this. How will the increased use of Oracle pools affect circulating supply of ERG?
Well, it might take a very small amount and lock it into the actual Oracle pools. I think the most interesting thing will not necessarily be how it kind of locks ERG into that framework. Rather, it's the complexity and variety of DeFi that can be built on top of Ergo. We have basically a kind of unique approach to oracles. Traditionally, it's more point-to-point data. In Ergo, we're trying to disrupt that model a little bit by securing it by having many points to many points that's aggregated to a single point, which gives you some additional assurances. And that can be plugged in both on top of Ergo we do have the ability to bridge that to other chains through more of a gateway, or I guess we have the ability as well to have that broadcasted via API to other chains. It's something that will develop based on demand. And right now, the demand is still being turned on. I know that, with the Cardano summit, a lot of people were upset that, let's say Cardano did a partnership with Chainlink, which, from my perspective, made a lot of sense. You have products that are being already hosted and supported by Chainlink. And if you want to have that project become a multi-chain asset, you want the price feeds to match. Otherwise, people are just going to come in and try to arbitrage it. Now, I do think that we're going to see Oracle data from Ergo on Cardano. Right now, the use case for Oracle data on both is still something we're growing into. So I don't really see that as a big obstacle. It's just a matter of where we are in terms of the evolution of DeFi on both.
Right. So there's actually a question for me, and I will answer this because I have been slacking and kind of bullshitted people about this. So who are your Ergo Hack 3 winners, Dan? I have not picked them because, well, I got a bit of a sniffle, I'd say, for about 4 days. But anyway, that's no excuse. I will, however, I promise to pick them over the weekend, and I will announce them on Monday. This is a promise from me. So my apologies for not doing it sooner, but I will do it this coming Monday. I will announce my winners, and we will take care of the winners accordingly. So again, my apologies to the community that I have not fulfilled my promise of doing it last week. I promise you. Well, I promise to fulfill this promise. But anyway, I will take care of it this weekend, and I will announce this coming Monday. So thank you for your patience. Let's see. This is a nice question for Joe. So, Joe, are there more doors or wheels in the world?
You asked me at 6:39 in the morning? I have no idea.
That's a good answer.
It's over my head.
All right. We won't. We won't go there again. Let's see. There was a good question about. Okay, so this was kind of answered by a couple of people here, but so how does Ergo avoid centralization of mining and devices like ASICs?
Okay, so Ergo goes through periodic memory table adjustments. Now, part of what understanding an integrated circuit is, it's basically a specialty circuit that once it's built, serves one purpose, and that's to mine a particular algorithm. Now, we're actually seeing this, I believe, in Ethereum play out in kind of real time. They're going to be changing their consensus mechanism, and so over time, ASICs are going to be unprofitable. We'll see, if that rolls out this year or not. But then it's a question of, okay, you have these specialty circuits that were built for one purpose. Where are they going to go? And that's kind of an open question there. So with Ergo, what we do is we adjust the memory table. And so if somebody built a integrated circuit for the memory table today, they may just run into issues when that adjusts. Now, centralization of mining is something that probably will occur to some degree as the chain grows. I would imagine what will happen is, as the demand increases, you'll have people that, number one, they try to arbitrage the profitability of mining by finding cheaper energy. That always happens in proof of work. You probably will see people start to create block streams for field programmable gate arrays, which are kind of like a hybrid GPU ASIC that's basically you can reprogram. They are more efficient than GPUs. I imagine, I know we do have actually community member Wolfie, who's kind of a weird guy, but also pretty nice fellow. If you can get past the weirdness, that's been working on creating an field programmable gate array for Ergo. Now, I think in terms of his efficiency, he's tripled basically what I can do in terms of a GPU rig, but there's also an issue with chip shortages at the moment, so I don't know exactly how far that's going to run. But I do think long term we will see some centralization. We will see some, block streams running rigs. Now, that's not necessarily a big negative thing because it will create competition. And hopefully we'll have competition between some larger miners. That's just going to be a product of growing hash rate. And hopefully as ETH eventually goes through their, let's say, migration. I'm not sure what they're calling it now, not ETH 2.0. I can't remember. It's one of those things. Sometimes the quickest way to fix something is just change the name of it.
It's ETH Bath and Beyond.
Yeah, okay.
ETH Bath and Beyond.
ETH Bath and Beyond. So we'll have a ton of GPU miners that are either going to repurpose their rigs for a new chain, or they're going to pass them to the market. And I would imagine the majority of people who pick up the rigs on secondary are going to point them back at a different chain. So we do have a big opportunity with the migration coming up to further decentralize mining.
So there's a really good question here. I think it's kind of a good question to dive in on, and that is, what would be the next high impact change that will grow the Ergo network? Now, I see that people, I know that people are thinking that when ETH Bath and Beyond goes online, we're gonna have an influx of people who still want to use POW, and that could very well be. But I think that the next high impact change that will grow the Ergo network is an influx of commercial business. And I know it's kind of a it's a bit of a I guess a vague definition, but look, bottom line here is that for example, for Ethereum, right? Ethereum, why does it have so much so much throughput and so much use? Because there's business on there, right? It's not just people mining and then people developing, and a couple of DeFi applications. There's business going on. What is growing other networks? Again, it's large projects. It's something that goes on there and really kind of tests the ecosystem to its brim, and then so the ecosystem has to evolve, and it has to scale beyond the comfort zone of that ecosystem. That was going to be, in my opinion, that was going to be the next big shift for Ergo, and I think it'll come sooner than the ETH 2.0 or whatever they're going to call it, because I could be mistaken, but I seriously don't think that it's going to happen anytime this year in any kind of sustainable capacity. So what I see more happening this year is larger projects coming onto the Ergo platform, and those projects testing the seams of the Ergo platform, is testing the strength of the Ergo platform, and then the Ergo platform having to scale to meet demand of those projects. That is my opinion, and that is what I think would be the next high impact change. What about yourself, Joe? What do you think? What are your thoughts?
I would say probably, yeah, three things. One, the first of which is what you said. Commercial adoption is certainly going to help. I do think that creating a framework for additional mining rewards is going to be a big thing in terms of building the hash rate and the security. Basically, we're playing with exploring proof of work performed, which kind of tracks the work that miners do and then creates incentives for them. I think that's potentially a very big deal for changing the current landscape of mining. And I do think that as we get bridges, now, of course, having a bridged asset is great, and then it's a matter of what you do with it. So that kind of feeds back into commercial adoption and growth on top of the blockchain. But I do think that having viable bridges and creating more liquidity between networks is going to be a big change, or high impact change in the case of this question as well. I would say wheels, by the way, Dan, just came to me. Probably more wheels than doors, but who knows?
Yeah, I think you're right, because I think the wheel's been around longer than the door.
Yeah, it
right?
just kind of boink. The light bulb's got a little delay this morning. Sorry, guys.
It's okay. It's okay. Just just get some more, get some stronger coffee, Joe. You need
And
it.
I ran out.
I mean, speaking of cocaine trade, Anyway, let's not go there. That's a personal thing. All right. So here's another really good question here, and so could Ergo and Cardano have a hybrid POS protocol, or does that compromise security? I believe that there is, and I think it's there's already been talk about developing a hybrid protocol. Is definitely possible as far as I can understand. As far as compromising security, well, security is compromised from, I guess, lack of proper work being done, right? Because when proper protocols are put out, security compromises are mitigated. If you're asking if there's going to be less secure than, say, just a straight up POW protocol, again, that is dependent on exactly what the protocol will do. It doesn't have to be. But like with any protocols, the proof is going to be in the pudding. So basically, you can guess and you can mitigate, but honestly, I think that there is no real way of being 100% sure until you actually put it out there and start testing and start kind of load testing the thing to see what it does in different infosec scenarios. So what do you think, Joe?
Okay, so the first thing I would point out is there is research that was released in terms of proof of work and proof of stake hybrid security, but we need to look at research in terms of, okay, well, how many research papers get implemented? There's still a ton of research that has been done, papers that were put together that never actually got traction or went anywhere. So then it's the matter of saying, okay, well, will it? I don't know. This is my honest answer. I have no idea how that will be engineered and spec'd and kind of brought into reality. Just because it was a research paper doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be like applicable right away. I did see that when I believe it was an IOH or IOG now research paper, and everyone said, "Oh, well, a great paper. When is it coming out tomorrow?" And it's like, this is like surveying into the future, right? Survey, you get a sense of the landscape. What are the potential risks, and then it's an engineering challenge. And I don't even know if that's to the point of starting to really take up the engineering challenge to build that particular protocol. So it's something that it's too far in the future for me to even really speculate on. I think it would take some consensus level changes, at least on Ergo side. But I can't say that's absolutely the case. But if it did take consensus level change, that would mean it would require voting, politics, drama, conflicting opinions. So let's just say for now, let's see. It's in the future.
Yep. Yeah. Again, that was also kind of my thought about it. Is it possible? I think it is possible. Will there be security risks? There could be. Will they be mitigated? They could be mitigated. Yes. What is going to be the ultimate outcome? We just don't know until we do it. And it's kind of far away, so we can't really give an educated guess on specifics of that. And so we have another question here. So how would Ergo attract more? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, there it is. How would Ergo attract more commercial interest? Is there a plan? So as far as commercial interest is concerned, what Joe and I have been really kind of, and we have been having meetings with several commercial prospects and really kind of ironing out our strengths and weaknesses, right? So what are our strengths? Well, the level of development of the protocol, the tooling, the tool set, the toolbox that is that is offered by Ergo, all these different things that are, that are just amazing about Ergo, where you can just kind of go out there and build all these amazing things that other projects might not have rolled out yet, or they do not have it as an advanced level as we have, right? The cons, I would say, for larger commercial applications that we've always run into is just the size of the network. So there's just been in a few instances, we basically were kind of given the answer, we really like what you do, but just the size of the network itself kind of gives us a worry about using it exclusively. Simply because, we're still young, we're still early, and that is a fair assessment, I think. That is why, most large conglomerates will go, they'll go with somebody like Ethereum or even Cardano, Bitcoin, just because these networks have already been around for a while and of the size of the network. Now, how do we attract more commercial interest? Well, I think that the commercial interest will come from cooperation at this point, so that we can have quicker wins. Will come from cooperation with other EUTXO alliance partners, such as Nervos, such as Coty, such as Cardano, and also just really having going through it and kind of putting our business development hat on, like I have, for example, with the project I'm developing, and kind of really think about it. Okay, what is the strength that I could sell to somebody, and what is the solution to the weak, what somebody could perceive as the weaker side, right? So say basically, yes, we know about this, but in this case, you can do A, B, C, D to mitigate any kind of risks. And what commercial applications could there be? And so we have several. There are applications. I believe that Ergo would be really amazing for things like authentication, like traceability, like sovereign identity. That's just to name a few. And is there a current plan? It is being developed, and there is a plan right now, plan of action, and we have been approached by a couple of really good projects, commercial projects that wanted to build on Ergo. And yeah, we're pushing through, and we're kind of evolving our commercial plan. And yeah, and so I think pretty soon you're going to see a lot of things come to fruition. So that's my take on it. Well, what is your take, Joe?
Sure. I think that along those lines, if I were going to build commercially on Ergo, the first question I would want to ask is, what is it going to cost? And for that particular question, actually, Ergo is highly competitive. The second question is going to be, what are my risks? And it is true that we are a smaller project. Right now our hash rate is not, as high as, some of the larger GPU mineable proof of work coins. And it's just one of those things, everyone likes to dump on the miners, but really the hardware security that they bring, if we can attract more of them, I think that having really a robust security layer hash rate is going to probably attract more commercial interest than anything, because we're already highly competitive in terms of the cost of doing business. It's just a matter of saying, okay, well, if I'm going to put potentially millions of dollars on top of this network, I want to make sure that is secure. And right now we're still growing, so that's the biggest risk. It's also something that we're trying to plan for, build for, and I think we have a big opportunity to disrupt relative to existing proof of work chains.
Right. That's pretty much where I'm at with that. So let's take one last comment or question, and the question is for me. So the question is for Dan. Can IOG peer review Joe's claim on wheels? Thanks. Well, I will talk to Charles and our chief scientist personally about this.
Yeah.
And so watch out, Joe. You are getting peer reviewed.
All right. I could be wrong. I'll be honest, Dan. It's early, and that was like left field. I wasn't ready for it.
Joe, just come on, Joe. You have to. You can't put it all on. Oh, it's early. Okay. You have to take responsibility for these things.
I'll take responsibility.
All right. Okay.
I'm wrong. Such is life.
Yeah. And all right, guys. Well, I think that's a good place to end the AMA for today. And so that Joe can have a good day of drinking coffee. And I'm going to start rhyming things that end with A, because I'm not Canadian. A. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. And I will next week. Actually, next week I'm not going to be able to join the AMA because I will be in the skies above, flying to the land of Dubai. The land of souks, giant buildings, and really, really, really hot weather. Anyway, thanks everyone for joining, and we will talk to you soon.
Have a good one, everyone.
Have a good day.